did you do your dental nursing right up until you started to formulate Hypo21?
Well, more or less, yes. So I worked till about, I would say, 5 years before we launched Hypo21. And it was primarily because, when I was working in a dental practice, dentists did a lot of, I was trained with a dentist for Botox and fillers and, facial aesthetic work. And I was always just baffled as why we didn't have an aftercare to give. If we did a smaller surgery on a tooth, for example, we had this, aftercare that we would give patients. But after Botox and filler treatments or an aesthetic work, we genuinely didn't have much to give other than, don't wear makeup for 24 hours, you'll be fine. And it was just like, why? I could sort of see the patient going into the bathroom, coming out, and subconsciously, because we told them not to touch their face, they are touching their face, and they've just been to the loo as well. So I wanted to create something that, the dental world could give, or aesthetic world could give as an aftercare. So that's where the idea sort of started coming in.
So have you always been quite entrepreneurial? Because to go from that to go on to develop a product and to getting it out how you have is quite entrepreneurial, to say the least.
Yeah, I've always loved running business. Yes, I did have a successful business prior to Hypo21. It was a dental consumable business. Oh. So I started that. You've met my husband, Ali. So we started that together. Again, dental world or consumer world is not his world at all, but he supported me. And but obviously selling consumable, especially in the dental world, it's very difficult because you have to have so many lines of different products, so many little drills and bits and pieces that we had to have. So it was getting too big for us, and we obviously young family as well. So we ended up selling that business, and then I just thought, I'll take a couple of years just to see, just to be a stay-at-home mum and just, look after my children. But I can't sit still. So that's when the idea of working on Hypo21 came about, really.
So were you using something similar?
No, not at all. So my husband's business they produce hypochlorous, but they do it for agricultural industries.
Right.
So he has a science team that have been producing hypochlorous, but it's obviously a different sort of hypochlorous. So when I was aware of the formulation and the science behind hypochlorous, because that's what I've heard, in 21 years of marriage, that's all I've heard, really. So that's when I was just like, I was having a chat with him once, and I said, I'm sure, you guys say safe, so maybe it can be a skincare as well. And he said, well, why don't you speak to the science guys and see what they say? So I set up a meeting with them, just went in, and I said, well, if it's used in agriculture, I'm sure we can somehow bottle it and sell it in aesthetic industry as well. They said, oh no, let me stop you there. It's not as easy as you think it's going to be. Because hypochlorous is how it's so important what sort of filtration you use for whatever industry you are. It's used in swimming pool industries, for example. It's used in agriculture. It's used in flower industries. It's used in so many different industries, but there are all different formulations.
So if someone doesn't know what hypochlorous is, can you just explain what it is?
So hypochlorous is what our own white blood cells produces to protect and heal us on the inside. So when your body goes through any trauma, whether you are experiencing from a cold or a virus or an infection, anything like that, your white blood cells produce a weak acid called hypochlorous acid to repair you internally. That's what hypochlorous is. So it's something that we already have in our immune system. But when it's produced outside the body, it's a very unstable formulation. So it first was discovered in World War I when a French scientist discovered it, and they used to use it on the soldiers' wounds and sort of get them to heal faster so they can get back to their job. But it's a very unstable formulation. Even then, it would only give them about 5 minutes of solution per soldier. Then they had to make a new batch for the next one. So it's a very unstable, very sensitive formulation when it's produced outside the body.
But It's chemical free though, isn't it?
Well, everything has chemical. So everything has chemical, but it depends on what sort of chemicals you use. So there are certain chemicals that your body understands and works with, but there are most chemicals that your body rejects because it doesn't understand it. Yeah. So when hypochlorous is made outside the body, is a combination of salt, water, and electrolytes.
Yeah.
But it would only last 5 minutes. It doesn't last a long time. So unless you add chemicals into the formulation, you won't be able to bottle it and sell it as any form of hypochlorous, really. So this is where Hypo21 is different. And that's what the science team worked on for 5 years, because we didn't want to add chemicals. We wanted it to be as pure as possible. So when you spray it on the skin, we wanted body to understand and work with it. Yeah. So our bodies are made almost 65 to 80% of salt water anyway, hence why our tears are salty and, our body fluid is quite salty. So it's that's why we wanted it to be as pure as possible. So we've managed to produce a filtration system that is unique to us. And this is what our science team worked on for 5 years. And that's what creates Hypo21 as it is with the pure formulation. So once the salt and water is mixed, then it goes through the electrolyte chambers where the light is shined through it. Again, that's still very unstable form till it goes through the filtration system. So once it's filtered, that's when it becomes stabilized. And that's what we've done. So we haven't added any chemicals as you would see in other hypochlorous products. For example, sodium hypochlorite, phosphoric acid, all sorts of different, chemicals that are out there. So that's why we've kept it as pure as possible. Hence why when you spray it on the skin, body understands that formula and starts to heal very quickly. So that was the prime target for us and our science team to work on.
And I bet that so you're saying it took 5 years to get
almost 5 years to get there. Yeah, it wasn't easy. As I said, they produce pure hypochlorous anyway, but to have it this pure that we can easily spray it on the skin or use as an oral rinse, we needed to have a different filtration system for it. And that's what took 5 years to build.